All right, hello everybody. This is the sub video for Wednesday, February 27th. Sorry I wasn't able to be there. Hopefully this video will suffice. Remember, we have tests on Monday of this following week or this next week. You do have a formative assessment tonight, 12-point B. It's over the concepts we went over yesterday, so you should still be in good shape, even though I'm not here to fully answer your questions or anything like that. Let's dive right in. So what we're going to be talking about today is what happens in the long run. We know in the short run, individual firms in the perfectly competitive market can have profits and losses depending on what the price point is determined by the market. And we demonstrated what those profits and losses look like. But what's going to happen in the long run, right? Well, we know in the long run that firms are going to adjust, right? If something is profitable, firms are going to enter and be a part of that market. They're going to want to take a part, get an equal share in those profits. And if there's losses, firms are going to want to shut it down and leave. And so we're going to look at what those adjustments do to the actual market today. Let's go. So in the long run, if an individual firm has experienced profitability, it means all firms are experiencing profitability. Remember, each firm in the perfectly competitive market has an equal share of the profits and an equal share of the losses, right? So if I demonstrate one firm is being profitable, what I'm really doing is demonstrating that all firms, all the hundreds or thousands of firms that are in that perfectly competitive market, are also experiencing those same profits or the same losses. And that's a signal to the rest of the marketplace and to the entire economy, right? So first, if there's a profit, right? If the firm is experiencing profit, it's going to be attractive to other entrepreneurs out there. They're saying, look, I can get an equal share of those profits if I enter that marketplace. And they're going to dive right in. And so more firms are going to enter the market when there's profitability, and that has an impact, of course. And they are able to do this because there's no barriers to entry. Remember, in perfectly competitive, you can start your own potato stand yourself, right? Just go to the store, get some potatoes, and boom, you're in the potato market. So there are no barriers to entry, no government approval you have to get or anything like that. So firms enter relatively easily, right? It's like that lane of when you're in that traffic jam, right? That traffic jam idea. If the lane next to you starts speeding up, well, everybody's going to want to get into that lane. When they do, they're going to clog it back up because those profits are going to be redistributed. And we'll look at what that looks like in a second. And the opposite is true as well. If a firm is experiencing losses, it's not just that one firm experiencing the losses, it's all of the firms in that marketplace are experiencing those same losses. And again, that's a signal, right? Several of those entrepreneurs are going to say, you know what? Can't take it anymore. I don't want these losses. There's something better for me somewhere else. And so they're going to leave, right? They're going to leave. If there's a loss, they're going to exit the market. And as a result, in the long run, all firms will make zero economic profit. In other words, in the long run, everyone is going to have a normal profit. Just like a traffic jam idea from last unit, right? In the long run, the fast lane is going to slow down because more cars will enter that market, and the slow lane is going to speed up because cars will be exiting that lane. That's the idea. As a result, this becomes an extremely efficient, at least the most efficient marketplace, as firms can enter and leave, adjusting to whatever the changes in demand or supply are in real time. All right, so let's look at this graphically, because I think if that didn't make sense to you, it should make sense once we look at it in graphical form. So here we go. I've got our side-by-side graph here. This is our industry graph, just supply and demand, and notice the price is $15. Now, price point of $15, we take that all the way across. This firm, individual firm here, as we show here, this individual firm is a price taker, so they take that price at $15. And check it out. The question is this a profit or a loss? Let me get my little marker up here. Here we go. Is it a profit or a loss? Well, I know I have to figure out total revenue and total cost in order to determine that. So what's my total revenue? Total revenue is simply price times quantity. I know my quantity is going to be where MR equals MC. Mr. DARP equals MC. It's right here. So it's going to be 15 times 8 is going to be my total revenue. Okay. So what's my total cost going to be? And the difference between those two is going to be my profit or my loss. My total cost is I dash up until I hit ATC. Look at that, same spot. I dash over. My average total cost is 15. So my total cost is 15 times 8. In other words, this square right here is both my total revenue and my total cost. My total revenue, TR, equals my total costs. In other words, I have an economic profit of 0, right? In other words, my total cost, my total revenue are equal. I have economic profit of 0, or I have a normal profit, which we set at the very beginning. In a perfectly competitive market, there will always have a normal profit in the long run. Temporary economic profits, temporary economic losses, but in the long run, in a perfectly competitive market, we'll have a normal profit or an economic profit of 0. We call this long run equilibrium. It's where we want to be. It's where we'll always end up in the long run, where total revenue equals total cost. And this should make some sense to you because we talked about this when we did our ADAS LRAS model, where we said in the long run, we'll always end up at triple intersection. Well, look at this. In the long run, we'll always end up at triple intersection, where Mr. Dart, marginal cost, and average total cost all intersect. Okay, so triple intersection is always where we're going to be because that's where economic profit is 0. All right, let's keep rolling. Now, how do we go from the short run to the long run? If we know we're going to end up there in the long run, how do we get there? Let's look first at a profitable firm, right? Over here, we see that we're not in the long run. First question is we're in the short run or a long run right now? And the answer is we're in the short run, clearly, right? In the short run, we have a profit or we have a loss, right? So in the short run, we can actually experience those in perfectly competitive, but in the long run, we're going to end up where? The intersection, where there's 0 economic profit. So let's take a look. Here we have a price of $15 set by the marketplace. We take that over. Perfectly competitive firms are price takers. They have no control over price. And so that equals our Mr. Dart. We find where MR equals MC, or Mr. Dart equals MC, which is right here. That gives us our optimizing quantity of 8. Our price is 15, our quantity is 8. That's going to be the total revenue. Total cost is going to be 8. We take that up to ATC. This bottom box is total cost. Distance between those two is this little green guy here. That is our profitability, right? So this firm is currently experiencing a profit. The distance between Mr. DARP and our ATC, right, is a positive one. So we are experiencing profitability in the short run. What do you think is going to happen in the long run? Well, in the long run, firms are going to be attracted to this marketplace, right? They're going to enter this market and they're going to be a part of it because they want to share in these juicy green profits over here. So what's that look like? Well, it looks like this. The supply curve is going to shift to the right. Why? Because there's an increase in the quantity of sellers. Remember that from Unit 3, right? Long ago, Unit 3, long ago, right? Firms are going to enter the market. When they do that, supply shifts. So supply is going to shift to the right. In this case, it's shifting all the way to the right and shifting to $10. What's going to happen to Mr. Dart for the firm? Remember, the firm is a price taker. They have no control over this price at all. So the price is actually going to fall. How far? All the way down to $10. If the market determines that the new price for this good is $10, then the individual firm has to charge $10. If they continue to charge $15, nobody's going to buy their goods or their services, and so they're going to experience 0 or actually no economic sales at all. They're going to sell 0 as far as their quantity goes. So they have to lower their price. It looks like this. We show the price falls all the way down to $10. We draw on a new Mr. Dart. Mr. Dart has shifted downward. Let me get my little marker here. Shifting downward. And notice our quantity falls. MR equals MC at a quantity of 5 instead of a quantity of 8. It should make some sense. If there are more firms in the marketplace, it means that all of these firms that are in the market have to sell a little bit less to make room for the new firms to sell an equal amount. And perfectly competitive, where there's no differentiation at all, that is absolutely going to be the case. Every firm gets an equal share of the sales, equal share of the profits, or an equal share of the losses because there's no differentiation. They're completely identical products or services. Okay? So what's this going to do once this happens in the long run? Well, now you should notice something. You should notice that we are now at a triple intersection. We weren't before. Before we had a profit, right? But now we have a triple intersection. What's that mean? It means we're going to have an economic profit of 0. So we check it out right here. And we are now in the long run equilibrium, triple intersection. Price has fallen to $10. because of that increase in supplies. We see supply way over here, caused by the attractiveness of the profitability, which drew those firms in, and they have no barriers to entry, so they can dive right in, push that price down all the way until we're at triple intersection. And so what is our total revenue? Our total revenue is 10 times 5, or 50. What is our total cost? Our total cost, dash up till we hit ATC, is 10 times 5, or 50. In other words, my total revenue equals my total cost, and my economic profit is 0, which means that I now have a normal profit in this marketplace, right? Not so bad. So in the long run, just to recap, in the short run, if a firm is experiencing profitability, it's going to attract more firms into the market, right? They're going to want a share of those profits. The cars are moving into the faster lane. Supply will shift to the right. And when supply shifts to the right, price falls. When price falls, Mr. Dart will go down until it eliminates all the profits, redistributing profits with all of the new firms until everybody gets 0 economic profits, which means that they have a positive accounting profit, or as we call it in economics, they have a normal profit. And now we're in long run equilibrium because there's no incentive to leave for any firm, and there's no incentive for new firms to enter the market because economic profits are 0. They still have a positive accounting profit, they're doing fine, but no reason to leave, no reason to attract more firms in. The incentives, in other words, are stable. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at the other side of this. There we go. We just talked about that. The firm then is in long run equilibrium. Let me fix this for you. That should be 15, not 5. Long run equilibrium means total cost equals total revenue, just like we went over. Firm is making 0 economic profit, which means it has a positive accounting profit. And whenever you're at this triple intersection, there's no incentive for new firms to enter the market. And there's no incentive for the firms in the market to leave. They're not experiencing losses, and there are no profits to attract more people in. In other words, the economy or the firms are stable. And we're going to remain at that long run equilibrium unless something changes with demand or supply in the short run. Okay, let's look at the other side. What if we're experiencing losses? So here we have a short run firm. We know this is in the short run because we do not have triple intersection, right? We have Mr. Dart intersecting marginal cost at a quantity of 8 right here. Get my little marker here, right? Quantity of 8 where MR equals MC right here. Now I dash all the way up and I get my average total cost, which is way up here. ATC. It's hard to write. All right, ATC is all the way up here. So my total revenue is 15 times 8, price times quantity. My total cost is ATC times 8. My total cost is greater than my total revenue, which means that this red area here is a loss that we're experiencing. What do you think is going to happen in the industry when firms are experiencing a loss? Well, this loss, remember, is shared between all of the firms. It's not just this individual firm, perfectly competitive. They all share the losses. So what this means is that some firms are going to say, you know what, forget it. I didn't get into this to lose money, and so they're going to leave. They're going to exit the marketplace. When they exit, what do you think happens to the market? Well, the supply is going to shift to the left. Fewer firms there to sell their goods. When supply shifts to the left, the price is going to rise. And when price rises, it eliminates these losses, getting us back to long-run equilibrium. Let's check it out on the next graph. So there we go. Firms have left to avoid these losses. When they do that, supply shifts to the left. Supply shifting to the left increases our price from $15 to $20. Well, this is a price taker, right? They can't afford to continue to sell for 15. That's 1.5. Sorry about that. They can't continue to sell at $15. They will lose more money, right? So if there's no reason to sell below market price, the market price is higher, might as well raise our prices as well to get our equal share of those profits. So what we're going to see is Mr. DARP is going to rise, right? This is going to go directly across, and Mr. DARP is going to rise until we hit triple intersection, where MR equals MC equals ATC, where economic profits are 0. Let's check out here. So there we go. We see our price has risen from 15 to 20. Now we have a handy dandy triple intersection here. The losses scared firms away, and doing so shifted supply to the left, pushing the price up, When price goes up, Mr. DARP rises as well because they're price takers. When that happens, the losses that were being shared as firms leave, there are more economic profits or sales to go around. There's more revenue to go around. It's equally distributed until all firms experience increased revenue to the point where TR equals TC. We're at long run equilibrium. We have an economic profit of zero, positive accounting profit, or as we call it in economics, a normal profit. Okay, and there you go. We find ourselves in long run equilibrium at $20 in price, and we'll remain there until something else happens. We'll look at that later, right? There are other factors other than businesses entering or businesses leaving because of profit or losses, right? That can impact this price, can impact losses and profits, create losses again or create profits again. But then know that there's always going to be a secondary long run adjustment. And that's based on the signaling of profit or losses. This is a quick recap. If in the short run, the perfectly competitive firms are experiencing profits, it's going to attract more firms into the market. Supply is going to shift to the right as more firms enter. That's going to push the price down. Mr. DARP is going to fall, and when it does that, it takes its profits with it. Profits will be redistributed as more firms enter to be shared with all firms until there's an economic profit of zero at a triple intersection. If there are losses, right? If there are losses, it's going to scare firms away. Firms are going to leave. And when they do that, supply is going to shift to the left. When there are fewer firms selling the goods, all of the revenue is being redistributed. The revenue that those other firms used to get is redistributed to the firms that remain. Right? So the supply shifts left, prices rise. When prices rise, they take those losses away, increase revenue for all the firms until total revenue equals total cost. So we're at triple intersection right here. And when we're at triple intersection, we know our total revenue, or I'm sorry, our economic profit is zero, right? And when our economic profit is zero, we have a positive accounting profit, right? And we have a normal profit in economic terms. As a result, we'll stay there. There's no incentive for people to leave because there are no losses. There's no incentive for more firms to enter because there are no profits. So as a result, we'll remain at triple intersection until something else happens in the short run. All right, that's our second to last concept. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you guys. Hopefully you got some notes down on that, and we'll pick up from there on Thursday. All right, sorry I couldn't be there today. Take care, guys. Remember, you're the only you that will ever exist. So be yourself. All right, see ya.